This is where the atheists gather. This is home. This is LATV 2.0.
My lord, what are you doing?
Look, Gabriel, he's going to do it. He's going to do it.
My lord, is that man about to stab his son?
Yeah, I told him he had to prove his loyalty, blah, blah, that kind of stuff.
But you're omniscient, so shouldn't you already know he's going to be loyal to you?
Yeah, but it gets boring around here. All the chants all day, just how amazing I am. So I thought I'd entertain myself a bit.
My lord, that's just not right. I am going to stop this.
Party pooper.
Abraham, you mustn't kill your son.
I must prove my devotion to the Lord.
It was a test. Yeah, that's it. It was just a test. And guess what? You passed, right, Lord?
Yeah, totally. A test. Psych, got you good.
Give him a reward.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you something like, I don't know, lots of grandkids.
And I won't have to kill those either?
No. It's just like the good Lord said. It was just a test.
You're the man, Abraham.
You sure? I mean, I still got the knife, and he's a bit of a whiny bitch.
Go home, Abraham.
All right. I'll be going home. It's going to be an awkward walk with Isaac. Keeps calling me a boo for some reason. I don't know what that means.
Hi, this is Amy with a Y from Secular Soup.
Hi, this is Oren Ross.
Hi, this is Candace Gorham.
Hi, this is Andrew Torres.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ben Davis.
Hello, this is Dr. Daryl Ray.
Hi, this is Dr. Hector Garcia.
Hi, this is Mike Wiseman of The Bible Says What.
Hi, this is Thomas Westbrook of Holy Kool-Aid.
Hey, this is Robert Stanley from the Right to Reason podcast.
Hi, I'm Steve Grumbine. I'm the host of Macro and Cheese.
I'm Dave Fitzgerald.
And I'm Dana Fitzgerald.
We can start again. Absolutely.
I'm Dave Fitzgerald.
And I'm Dana Princeton.
And we took a left at the valley.
And then I masturbated after that.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. We don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with the religious people taking over the world, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I say it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from Soak, BC, Alligator, Florida, and Coat Hanger, Texas, this is Left of the Valley 2.0. My name is Kevin, and when Miley Cyrus dances nearly nude and licks a hammer, it's called art. But when I do it, I get kicked out of Home Depot. Joining me as usual is the team that realized that potatoes make fries, chips, and vodka. It's like the other veggies aren't even trying.
Exactly. Vodka's light.
She was in line behind a guy buying condoms, and when his card was declined, she said he was cock-blocked by Visa. Sabrina.
Hello.
And he'll tell you that dudes that claim they can't breathe in a mask have never gone down on a woman long enough for her to finish. Friendly.
Yes, that's true.
Guys,
you're bringing it.
And this show is brought to you by our patrons. You too can become a patron. Go to www.patreon.com/LATV and you can help us grow the show. Perfect. I guess the first thing we got to do is a warm welcome to a new team member, Hertzey Hertz. Hey, welcome, dear.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah. You have no idea what you just got yourself into.
Oh, not a clue. Love it.
The good news is you didn't really watch the show or listen to the show before, so
yeah, it's gonna be a total surprise.
Anyway.
All right. So we were supposed to have Bernard Laborel on, but some mishap happened there, so we're gonna have a different kind of show today. We are gonna do a baloney detection kit exercise today, so that's gonna be interesting. But that's gonna be in the second half of the show. Okay. But first, let's do our usual chit chat. Okay. We got bad news. Unfortunately, to start. Oh yeah, we always start with bad news.
Is it from the States by any chance?
Not really.
Oh.
As we predicted on this show, a new COVID strain has been
Omicron.
Yeah, it's known as SARS-CoV-2 B11529. It's also been nicknamed the Omicron variant. Mm-hmm. This is punched out of South America. It's a heavily mutated form that's been basically putting the scientific community under alert here really, really badly.
That's what's happening with the vaccines against this, isn't it?
We don't know at this point. It's too early to say. It's spreading quickly in South Africa. Sorry, and there's already 2 cases that are confirmed in the UK and in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So, this virus, this variant of COVID, was first identified in Botswana, and apparently it is heavily mutated. And at this point, we have no idea what it means for people that have already had the vaccine.
So it could be another novel virus, basically.
It could have. Omicron essentially has a potential to basically nullify all the efforts we've done this far to eradicate COVID.
Maybe I should listen to the news more and hear these things.
I just
So
know
that's-
that. I just
Yeah,
know
I
that
just-
every. Go ahead, Brent.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I was gonna say I just know every Futurama fan and I are going. Oh, so is it from Persei 8?
That's exactly what I said when I heard it on the radio. I'm like, what the hell is it from Omicron for CIA?
I am Lur.
I totally get it.
Humans.
Yeah, it's. They say it's got like twice as many mutations as like the previous Delta variant, which had more mutations than the other. It's got like 30.
And we've talked about this before. We said, when you get a heavily unvaccinated population, this is what is a petri dish to help these viruses mutate. We saw this with the Delta variant that happened in India and the Gamma variant that happened in Brazil. And we were saying at the time the U.S. has a lot of population that is not vaccinated. Still, there's a possibility that there'd be a mutation happening in the U.S. This is Omicron happened apparently in South Africa. So this is, how many times do I have to say this? Guys, get vaccinated.
It's scary.
It is scary. Another news, there is a movement worldwide to recognize the rights to some animal species, to give human rights to them.
I heard about that.
Yeah, so human rights can be given to other species that they're deemed sapient and sentient. And this is also this is the same argument I use for abortion. When you have a fetus, they always say for abortion they say a fetus is human. Yeah, but it's not what about a human. It's whether it's a person, right? And what makes a person is sentience and sapience. And some of these countries right now have like for example in India, I believe they have human rights attributed to dolphins because they recognize that the species is sentient and sapient enough to warrant these rights. Well, in the UK, they've declared that octopi, squids, and lobster crabs as sentient beings. So this is interesting. Now, note here, I said sentient being, not necessarily sapient as well. So they don't. It's not like these octopi and all that are given human rights under the law at this point, but they recognize that these species are aware. They can feel pain.
Well, they definitely can.
Yeah, they can feel pain, pleasure, hunger, warmth, joy, comfort, excitement. So in the UK, they've added an amendment to their Animal Welfare Sentience Bill, and the update actually came from an extensive report from the London School of Economics and Political Science. So this is very interesting.
So I mean, I could see the octopus and everything, but like really shellfish.
I was kind of surprised by that.
Can't put them in the same category. Come on now.
No, octopi know how to sneak out of tanks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're talking about sentience here. So these creatures are aware. Now, the octopi are much more smarter than the lobsters, right?
Okay,
we'll agree to that.
Yeah,
but that's not what they're talking about here.
Okay.
So it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on, because down the road, if you were to say, for example, that you were to give human rights to lobsters, for example, what does that mean for the industry, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to eat lobster.
Exactly. These are all
tons of human
Not
rights
necessarily.
violations.
Because it's something that I watch a lot of cooking shows and things like that. One of the things that they've started doing with lobster, because it used to be you just put the lobster in the pot and then that's it. What they have started to do, and I think it really started in Britain, is basically you just dispatch the lobster immediately before you put it in the pot. So there's barely a second before it goes in. And it's like, well, that makes sense. Then it's not this huge painful death or whatever that we have been doing. And it's just quick, done in the pot. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, for us atheists, it doesn't really matter because we're ready to eat babies anyway. So we'll eat lobster anyway. We'll eat anything that comes under.
Honestly, I'm not a lobster fan, so you're welcome, lobster.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down the road. Like I said, there's a lot of countries that are making moves toward that. Ecuador is one of them. India is one of them. I think Japan also as well. So it's going to be a cool thing to keep an eye on. In other news, did you guys hear that NASA has launched a craft named DART? Now, DART stands for Double Asteroid Redirection Test, and it's heading for an asteroid called Dimorphos. It will take about 10 months to reach. Now, the mission is actually to crash into the rock and alter its course, hopefully. Now, warning, it's not like the asteroid is heading our way, it's going to kill us. It's not that. It's just this is a test to see if this can actually be done, right? This craft DART has lifted atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, so it's in working with Elon Musk there.
Of course.
The impact should happen in September 22. Dimorphos is only 160 meters across, or 160 yards across for American friends there, and DART will crash at 24,000 kilometers an hour, about 15,000 miles per hour, if you wish, into it. Dimorphos is actually orbiting Deimos, which is another bigger rock, I guess, and NASA hopes to measure that the crash will actually divert the rock and change its orbit. And by these calculations, they can try to build some kind of response to a meteorite or an asteroid that would actually have a significant impact on the planet. Because right now we don't really have any way of defending. I mean, of course, these stupid things like, oh, let's throw some nukes at them. That doesn't really work that way.
Right.
Why not?
Well, because sometimes the composition of the rock, could just shatter into a million smaller, more deadly fragments. So,
shows you what I know.
So NASA's viewing this as playing a game of pool. You gotta get something in the way, you hit it with the cue ball, and you redirect the rock somewhere else. That's the way that they're looking at this. So this is going to be really, really interesting to see this next year. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Okay. You got a top 10?
I do, and unfortunately, I wrote it on my other account. But good news is I can just pull it up.
There you go. All right.
So it's actually a factual top 10. It's the top 10 movies of the 90s, blockbuster movies of the 90s, as ranked by Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So number 10 comes with a 95% Rotten Tomatoes rating. It is 1992's Aladdin.
Oh, really?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, of course, I think everybody probably knows what Aladdin is, where you got Robin Williams as the genie.
You could never find another actor to do that genie voice.
No.
You just cannot.
No.
Will Smith. Okay.
No. Sorry. That's always Robin Williams
close.
For me.
That was the swan song of Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Nobody can do that.
And of course, it was well written and well drawn, and the songs too. Like they're just classical. Yeah. So that's number 9 on our list. Also has a 95% rating, and it's 1998's The Truman Show.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting show.
You know what's really funny about The Truman Show? You think about it now, and the advent of reality TV. Like life is a freaking Truman Show. And people sign up for this crap. He didn't know, but like it's just crazy. I think the world today.
I think the future is going to be just a bunch of people with drones that just just fly behind them and just film their whole lives. I think that'll be like the next step.
There was a movie with Bruce Willis where everybody kind of lived in a capsule, but they had like an avatar of themselves at their best, all running around, but it was like an artificial version of themselves.
Oh,
so
surrogates.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
They just started an anime of that, I think, on Crunchyroll.
Oh, really?
Because it was based on a comic. Yeah.
I could totally see that kind of future happening.
Well, people are recluse enough now, so why not?
Exactly, right?
I don't have to get dressed. I'll just put my avatar out today.
Right. That's the new Facebook thing, man. That's
with the Oculus set and the virtual reality.
Freaky. I've never used virtual reality, and woo, I don't know if I ever want to do it again.
Right.
A little freaky. I'm like, I'm up way too high.
Yeah.
It's like, you're on the ground. What the hell?
Her son-in-law's got a set, and we were playing with that this past weekend there. And it's just the most amazing thing because you're on the ground and you're on the ground, but all of a sudden you're on top of a building on a plank and you're looking down and your brain just does a tilt. It's like
I literally
I can
backed
feel,
into the elevator
I can
that
feel
didn't
the
exist.
carpet. I can feel the carpet underneath my feet. But my brain is telling me I'm on top of a building about to fall. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
I literally backed into the elevator that doesn't exist and said, "Nope, I'm going to the ground."
Right?
I'm on the ground.
It's like that first time that anybody ever saw a railroad thing, like in the theaters, like the first time, and they all get up and run out of the room.
Because the train was coming at them and people were ducking out of the way. Yes.
Yeah. That's so
It's amazing what the brain does.
Yeah. So number 8 on our list is got a bit of a higher rating here at 96%, and it's 1993's In the Line of Fire.
I love that movie. John
I just watched
Malkovich.
it.
Yeah, John Malkovich, Clint Eastwood,
That is
Rene
a
Russo.
good movie.
Yeah, it's a
I
really
think it's on. I think it's on HBO right now.
Okay,
if
there you
anybody
go.
wants
Go
to
watch it. If you haven't
It's
seen it,
fucking
go
awesome.
watch it. It's a really good movie.
If you're a big fan of John Malkovich, I mean, it was probably one of his best roles ever.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I'm not really into action movies, and I liked that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's more like
Very,
an
very
action
good.
thriller, right?
Right.
So that-
yeah. More of a thriller, I guess. Right.
Yeah. This is another one that's kind of like an action thriller, and also one of my favorite movies. Number 7 is 1993's The Fugitive.
Oh yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, with Harrison Ford, which also has a 96% rating.
And the role that made Tommy Lee Jones a household name, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
the one-armed killer. And, yeah.
Which was based on a television series.
Mhm.
Was it in the 60s, I think?
I think so, yeah.
Or in the 70s, like a long television.
Yeah. So number 6 on our list is, with a 96% rating, 1995's Apollo 13.
Oh,
So we were just talking about space, and here we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
going back into space, of course, based on a true story. It's got Tom Hanks and
You ever notice something about Tom Hanks? You never go travel with Tom Hanks.
no.
What is it, Apollo 13, or it's where he plays Captain Sully, where he goes on the desert island, he gets lost as well, with Castaway. He's always losing his direction somehow. You do not travel with Tom Hanks. You just don't.
No. But remember, Kevin Bacon's in this movie, so if you ever need a 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, just put that one in your back pocket.
There we go.
Yeah. That's right.
That was a good movie, though.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. Although I didn't get as into it as other people did. Number 5 is 1991's The Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good movie. Yeah. Hello, Chloe. And then what was the Fava Beans? And I'm no good at that one. Yeah, with a good Chianti. And, yeah. The line.
Apparently, he improvised that line, too.
Did he really? Oh, well, that's well done. And actually, I forgot to mention I had written it in my list that I don't have access to. In Apollo 13, the other famous line that came from that movie, of course, is Houston, we have a problem. Yeah.
It's funny too, because like I always thought that the Silence of the Lambs was going to be like super like gross and gory and all this stuff.
But hardly
and I remember.
at all.
No, it was, and I was like, "Wow, this is actually just a good movie. Like, it's not like it has the reputation of being this scary horror, but I just thought it was like a really good thriller, straight
It's
up,
a
like
great
Scream or
mindfuck.
something."
The best horror movies are the one that let your mind fill up.
Mhm.
Let you imagine what you're on.
Yeah, I'm not really into the slasher thriller. I'm more into the screw with your mind thriller.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Number 4 on our list has a 96% rating as well, and it's 1992's Unforgiven.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman. And I believe this was like a revival of the Old West movies, kind of brought back the Western as something.
They were
kind
trying
of-
to, yeah. Didn't
Well,
really.
I don't think it worked
I
very
think it
well.
was the last Western that Clint Eastwood did.
Was it?
I think so.
Could be. I don't know much about Clint Eastwood.
Well, it's weird too, because if you go to like the old TMC or TCM movies, there's like 10,000 westerns. Like that's all. Like that's all. It came out every week. There was a new western movie out, and it's like crazy because it just declined rapidly. And it's always like Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear came and just took over the cowboy thing. You know, and nobody cares about cowboys anymore.
But it's funny because a lot of people don't realize that the spaghetti western is what they call it.
Yeah.
Is what the superhero movie is today, but it was back then.
That's true. They pump
Today,
out
everybody-
MCU movies
Yeah, today
as
it's
fast as they can.
superheroes all over the place.
Mhm.
Back then, it was westerns all over the place.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
So
point. Yep.
Does that mean that one day I'll not have to see a bunch of freaking MCU movies?
Probably,
then?
yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Good, because I don't.
You're
like
very
them.
old and gray by then.
Yeah.
It'll just be anime by then or something.
All right. Number 3 on our list has a 98% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and that would be 1997's Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yes.
So another Robin Williams classic with who's that? Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Yeah. So
It's
that's
a movie
really great movie.
that really launched Matt Damon's career.
It was, and it was an independent movie as well. So.
Yeah, didn't they write it? Like Matt Damon
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote that movie together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, isn't it based on a bit of a true story?
I don't know.
I don't know enough about it either. I'm sitting here looking at it, but not the synopsis.
Of course, with Robin Williams, there was a whole bunch of lines he also improvised with Matt Damon.
Of course.
Like the lines where he's talking to him about his wife farting in her sleep. And Matt Damon can't hold his laugh. He's just laughing the whole time.
That was improv?
That was totally improvised.
That's awesome.
They say that he's the most difficult actor to work with out of pretty much everybody.
Matt Damon?
No, Robin Williams was the most frustrating person
Really?
to work
I don't know
with.
what he's going to do.
Yeah,
you don't know what's about to come out of his mouth.
He never stuck with the script. He was always he was trying to make the crew laugh throughout. You know, so it was just a mess. But
Oh, I miss that man.
Yeah,
He was amazing.
It's one of the few celebrities. When I heard his passing, it's one of the few celebrities where it actually hit. I mean,
I
you hear a
think I
celebrity
shed a
dies,
tear.
you're thinking, oh. But when Robin Williams died, it's like, holy shit, really? Like,
I think I may have cried a little.
Yeah.
So the last 2 movies have a 100% rating, and it kind of ties into what Ben Brentley was just saying. So number 2 on our list is 1995's Toy Story.
Oh.
There's your cowboy movie.
Absolutely,
It
100%.
didn't just take over the westerns; it took over this list.
That's right.
And I don't know if you know, but 1995's Toy Story was Pixar's first animated movie.
Yes.
And really just changed the face of animation in general.
And I remember watching it, and I was such in awe by the way they animated the toy soldiers.
Yes, the computer generation of it. It
Yeah,
was
I mean,
amazing.
you could buy the Woody and all that, but the way the little toy soldiers looked like, it's like, oh my god, this was like so amazing.
Yes,
it's funny too because I remember when I was a kid, you know, I remember seeing a first look at Toy Story coming out, right? And it took them like I want to say it was like 3 years later. It took for a kid, that's a really long time to wait for a thing that you saw was being made.
Right.
And I got with my grandma. I was like, we got to go see if this Toys movie is out yet. So we like went to the store. And speaking of Robin Williams, we actually ended up getting she got me the movie Toys. And I'm like, that's not it.
Me too, though.
Wrong one. Yeah.
Very
That was a
different
great
movie.
Fucking visually crazy as hell. But yeah.
And then I would last and not least, of course, number 1 on the list with also a 100% rating is 1999's Toy Story 2.
Really?
Yes.
Holy shit. Both of them got 100?
Yes. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, they actually dominated 1 and 2 on the list. And honestly, I like the first one better. So there you go.
No, but it's, when you have a new breakthrough in movies, it's hard for a sequel to beat that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like The Matrix is the same reason, for example. When you first saw The Matrix and bullet time, you're thinking, whoa,
that's
crazy. Or the
shit.
first Jurassic Park, you see dinosaurs, oh my God. You know,
Yeah.
the second one happens, the magic is not as powerful.
That's one of the things on that VR headset, though, is to walk through Jurassic Park. So we are going to be doing that.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
I am slightly disappointed in this list because it doesn't have The Mummy in it, which is the all-time greatest movie of the 90s.
I don't know what
Mummy was so awesome.
Actually, it might be on
It was
this
so
list is
bad.
actually over 100 movies long.
Wow. But there's no way it got that high of a rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm sorry, Hertzey, but
That movie is
on the list. It's on the list. Number 85. With a 61%.
you should have just not. Now she's crushed. Okay.
It's solidly in the middle. It's solidly in not quite the middle.
it's
There's
solidly
100. There's 128 on the list. So it's bottom.
And
third.
It's a shame because I was so hoping that movie would launch a really good career for Brendan Fraser because I really like the guy. I think he played
Brendan Fraser.
Yes, I think
That's awesome. Yeah.
he seemed like the kind of guy you want to just hang with for fun.
Just for fun, yeah.
Just for fun, and but it never did. I think he was playing a very good action hero. Actually, I think he did very well as Rick O'Connor.
It's a great movie.
There's a whole thing about why he actually left acting, and he's actually getting back in. I believe he's working with DC on some stuff right now.
But he's coming back, which I'm a huge fan of Brendan Fraser, so I'm super excited.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I like the guy, but did not age well.
No, poor guy.
Oh,
he is on Doom Patrol.
That's that. There's ways to fix that.
Yeah,
you know, the gym.
I was gonna say that's also there's a lot of stuff that happened right after, like when he's all of a sudden dropped. There's a lot.
I'm assuming that there was some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of speaking of actors that drop. One of them that I really, oh God, I hope he comes back was Rick Moranis.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And his story is so tragic because what happened is his wife passed away while he was at the top of his career, and he decided to walk away from movies to
take
raise
care of
his
his children,
which he did. But that was over 20 years ago. His children are all grown up. It's like, Rick, please come back.
Strange Brew too. Come on, let's do it.
Or make a new not Rocky Horror Picture Show. Sorry, Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah!
And just hell, let's do a Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors mashup.
That would be cool if he was in the new Ghostbusters.
Curry and Rick Moranis together.
I was partially hoping to see him in the Ghostbusters movie.
Tim would be tough after the stroke.
That's true.
Yeah, poor thing. Yeah,
we could digitally enhance and just drop in the old Tim from Rocky Horror Picture.
Just slap his face onto some digitalized. There we go.
From that long time. There's some really awesome people out there.
All right, Bradley, you're a buddy. Since we don't have any Benjamin, you got
right.
Oh yeah, I had to. I went and got it pulled up myself though. So
yes, I see this. So we'll do a little info and then we'll play a little video, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So this is really kind of funny. Well, I mean, it's always kind of funny, but this one's really, really funny, I think, because it's his Kat Kerr, of course, our star.
I do see a little Steve there. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Schultz. Yeah. And so now I feel like I need to make this clear. She found a portal to where she can see all of the pets that are in heaven.
Cool.
Wow, it's like a second.
So my fish that died last week, that's up there,
Yeah, there is a goldfish. So here we'll play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, I'll click on here.
Let me get to my other screen. Okay, here we go.
You were talking about pets and portals. I want to show you one.
Oh, wow.
I want to show you an actual pet portal that I got a picture of. So just so you know, this stuff is really real. I mean, heaven's got our pets there. These are not just fake images. It was not photoshopped. So in the picture is a poodle, you see very clearly. On his head is a goldfish. Right next to this pet is a cat. And over to the left side of it is a horse. Actually see his whole head and everything. And then we actually counted, I think, 14 or 15 pets in this whole portal that got opened. He opened it so I could get a picture. So I'm going to show it to you. Hopefully you can see at least the poodle with the fish on his head, and you can see the cat.
Here you go. You ready?
So let's see how well you can see this picture. Do you see the poodle with the fish on his head?
Oh, yeah. I see his nose right there and his eyes. Totally.
Yeah. And have the goldfish on his head.
It's
your
hand was your hand was go down. Right there's the ear. You just touch his ear.
This is the portal.
There it is.
So there's 14 pets in this picture, and up here is a rabbit. So anyway, these are real pets. These aren't clouds. These are pet spaces in the sky. So this is proof they really are in heaven.
Total proof.
Yeah, it's like, do not clouds. Do not clouds.
No. This is a Rorschach test?
I know.
All
I see is a bunch of penises.
And I saw a penis. I definitely saw the penis. And I saw a cat. I did not see a poodle and no stinking goldfish. What the fuck is she on?
Well, see, that's interesting because I saw the poodle, but I did not see a cat or a goldfish.
Right.
Did you see the penis too?
I think there was like a little whisk of something above the head of the poodle, and it was like, that's a goldfish. And it's like, no, it's not.
I think you guys saw the poodle I see as a cat because I like cats better than dogs.
So it's a clear example of pareidolia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh my god! And this is their proof of God and their proof of
Proof,
heaven.
absolute proof. Don't you see it in this picture? It is proof. I expected to see something gold, like a fish. Like what the fuck, man? I want what she smokes. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Yeah.
See, I'm not the only one who has a cat that comes visits the podcast.
Oh, no, I have grand total. I have 5 cats. So
I love you already.
3 of them are still in the bedroom because there's history that we're trying to work through. But this is Luna, and she is my princess cupcake.
Ours are not in the show right now, but they tend to come visit at least once or twice. We only have 2. I'd have more if Kevin would let me, but I'm not allowed. I have dogs and goldfish instead.
Dogs are pretty cool.
Anyway, back to
sorry, total left turn. That's why it's called.
So about cats, anyway.
For once, it wasn't me.
Oh, that's because there was a cat in the cloud. It wasn't a fucking poodle. She does not know what she's talking about.
Cat and a dog. And
I still say that there was definitely a poodle.
I love Cat Kerr. What would you do without her?
So what did she do that? She just took a picture of the clouds or something, or
that's it. And it looks like she actually had to either do a pretty extensive printing venture there, or actually take a trip to Kinko's. I don't know, but she did it all
right
for this.
Just so she could prove to Steve Schultz that it's true.
You know, so I say, I don't know. $100 says that her trips to heaven is her sitting on her porch, high on something, and looking at the clouds.
Ambient. It's got to be ambient.
I don't know.
It's definitely prescription.
Yeah, because she would never do anything illegal.
Right.
Oh God, man.
I don't know if it's ambient because she hasn't murdered any of the people that she lives with yet, so it might not be ambient.
No,
that's
true.
Right.
Oh, thank you so much, Brent. That's pretty cool.
What would we do without you guys?
All right. So normally this is the point where we actually go on commercial break, but we're not going to do that today. So what we are going to do, since we do have a new co-host, we're going to talk about her for a bit. So let's blow her up. There we go.
I'm doing it.
Front center. There she is.
She's Hertzey's cat. It's the newest member of our.
Yeah.
Hertzey's cat. It's not Hertzey.
We'll have a different cat each time.
Hertzey's just a translator.
Give us a good little bio of you and where you came from, your apostasy, all that. If that's relevant, let the audience know who you are.
Oh, I always blank when people ask me that. But I am Hertzey. I am from Minnesota, the Minneapolis Twin Cities area.
That's not your fault.
Yeah, we apologize for you.
That's not your fault.
On Canada's behalf.
Minnesotans like to think that we're like this close to Canadians because we apologize a lot of time too.
Yeah. So, do you say A?
No, but we do say "ope."
Close. Okay. Yeah, we could work with this.
You know, this sucks because now I'm gonna have to say from BC and from Florida and from Texas and from Minnesota. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah. So how do we make fun of Minnesotans in the
North America?
Oh.
That's a good way. What's a good stereotype of a Minnesotan? Because honestly, I don't know.
I was gonna say because actually I enjoyed this kind of humor when I was a kid, but it was the Oli and Lena jokes. Minnesota, especially way back in the day, had a lot of immigrants from Sweden and Norway and the Scandinavian areas. So there's Oli and Lena jokes. There's lutefisk is a huge joke here. There are still churches that will do a lutefisk dinner, usually around the holidays. I have yet to have lutefisk, but it's on my list of things to try.
What's in it? I've never heard of it.
It's fish that has been soaked in lye. It was a way to preserve it way back in the day, back in the old country, so to speak. I'm actually Norwegian and Danish, so I can actually kind of say that.
I know that. I know lutefisk. That's the rapper that was in that movie, Fast and the Furious.
Only if he's going, oh yeah, sure.
I want to see that movie. Actually, let's.
Is that a real Minnesotan accent?
Depends on where you go. Like the movie Fargo, which is hilarious because Fargo is actually in North Dakota, but
I was gonna say,
go there. But all the stuff that takes place in Minneapolis, there's not a very strong accent for people in the Twin Cities and in the city areas. The farther out you go from the bigger cities, you can find it.
I love it.
It's the rural areas, right?
Well, it's like you guys thinking we say a boot. Like we don't. We say about.
I have heard a boot. I have heard a boot.
Again,
So
like
have
what
I,
you're
but it's
saying,
not
it's
the
the
norm.
farther east you go. So you're getting towards like it's in the small provinces. It's in like Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick, and it's the very small Eastern Maritimes.
I know from talking to a lot of Americans, when they think of Minnesota, the first thing they think of is cold weather and snow.
Okay, so it's very Canadian.
It's their little Canada down there.
Oh yeah.
So how close are you to the border?
Oh, how close am I? Oh.
Oh no, sorry. Minnesota as a state, like where is it
as
to
a state?
Canada?
We're right below. We're just
it borders it.
There it borders.
Yeah,
so
but-
there's places
Like Saskatchewan,
No,
probably.
that's a good question.
If you're cold, it's going to be Saskatchewan,
They're near
Manitoba.
North Dakota, so they're further back east. They should be under.
I got
Ontario.
snowed in North Dakota once. That
Somebody
sucked.
pull up a map.
We opened a freaking door and there was snow like halfway up the door. I've never seen that in my life. I was only 7, but like, holy God, that was freaky as hell. Anyway.
Was that in 1991?
No, 1986.
Okay. There's if you ask Minnesotans about the weather, first off, we can talk about it forever.
They're right on the tip of Lake Superior. So
Yes. So you're closer to Ontario.
Actually, they're on the edge of Ontario and Saskatchewan. And Manitoba.
Manitoba, yeah. wrong way. Okay, that makes sense. That's okay. I can place it. I can
So and if you go from Lake Superior, the very bottom, I guess you could say, is Duluth, and I'm about 2 hours south of Duluth.
Cool.
Oh, wow.
We measure distance and time too.
And Hertzey, were you raised? Were you raised in the faith, or did you come out of the faith, or were you always an atheist in your family, or?
I was raised Irish Roman Catholic in a church that was not very Bible thumpery. So, and my parents were also fairly liberal, and my dad was a huge geek. So there was some good rounding there that I didn't fall too far into stuff.
Another Catholic. So you and I have that in common.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did go to about 2 semesters of a Assemblies of God college. Don't ask. I still don't understand my logic at the time.
It's right down the street. I mean,
it actually is, because it's the North Central Bible College that Jim and Tammy Faye Baker came from.
Oh my God!
Oh, you poor
It
kid.
is it's downtown Minneapolis.
Oh, yikes.
In a video game, that would be like a nest of creatures that emerge from there. It would be like who's people spawn.
That's where they spawn. Yeah.
Is it? It's not in the Bible Belt, so is it a very Christian state?
Not super. Like, and in Minnesota, it is very much like you don't talk a lot of politics and you don't talk a lot of religion. You know, you don't.
That's kind of nice.
It's a very polite state. You know, they're polite.
It is. At the same time, I've also heard people say, like, because we don't talk about it as much, it's harder to talk about it as it's been coming up more and more. So it's not a super Christian state, but there are still pockets of people who, like, you know, it's like if it comes out that, oh yeah, I'm an atheist, they're just kind of like, what? Again, that kind of the more rural areas you go, the more it can get that way.
I think that's a very common theme in general. I think you find that in the more urban centers, people are just a little bit more educated, and the more educated you are, it just changes how you think.
Well, and I think it's because you have so many different people packed together, and in the Twin Cities, like there are kind of areas of different groups, which is kind of frustrating. But there's like, I grew up in this one spot in Hmong, where there's a fair number of Hmong and Laos immigrants who have come over. And then if you go, in a different area, there's going to be a larger Somali group. there, and it's you just get this mixed bag of people, and you just kind of got to roll with it at some point.
Yeah, that's very much Canada too.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And how did you? I mean, you were raised Catholic, so what was your apostasy like? What did that look like?
Well, like I said, I went to that Assemblies of God college. That took a lot of wind out of some sails.
I bet.
Because I was just like, because I remember one time somebody was like, "Oh, by the way, you're going to hell," and I was like, "Huh?" Well, because you're Catholic and you haven't been saved. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, Christians hate Catholics. I don't get it.
Oh yeah,
Protestants do. Yeah,
yeah, not all Catholics.
Catholics are Christians too. They're the Christians
sorry,
by default.
Catholics are the first Christians.
You're right, but see, that tells you my indoctrination as a child, because I was taught that Catholics are not Christians, and it's not even the Christian faith. So there you go.
This is something you hear a lot in the U.S. because they don't realize that actually the majority of Christians in the world are Catholics. The vast majority of them.
Yeah. So I apologize for that. That's totally my indoctrination.
No, I was thinking the same thing when you said it. I was like, yeah, exactly. Christians hate Catholic. I'm like, wait a second, they are.
Oh yeah.
But that's my indoctrination too. So I'm right there with you.
And if you really want to confuse a Christian that comes to you and tells you you're going to hell, I usually tell them, oh no, I'm going to Valhalla. I got VIP tickets. Way better service. Girls way hotter. I don't want to go to your stupid barbecue thing. It sucks.
But yeah, a lot of the things that came up there, for example, like I said, my dad was very much a geek, and so I grew up. We read, The Hobbit. We read the Animorph series. Yes, Luna. We read.
Pay attention to me.
Yes, C.S.
Really
Lewis.
like that series.
We read all, and when we say reread, it was actually my dad who read, and he's a fantastic voice, and so he did all the voices and stuff. And we also did Harry Potter.
Awesome.
That's
which when going to an Assemblies of God college, there were people who thought that Harry Potter was evil. It's like Halloween was our favorite holiday, and so there were people who were like, "Oh, we don't do that because it's Satanism," which also kind of started a lot of the questions I had about the Satanic Panic. Because I remember, I was supposed to do this paper, and I don't think I ever wrote it. It was supposed to be persuasive paper, and I was like, how many people think D&D is evil? And pretty much everybody raised their hand, and I'm like, I don't know how to talk to any of you because
it's not evil.
You have to roll the dice first.
I hadn't even cracked open the books of D&D at that time, and I knew it wasn't evil. My dad played until I was 5.
Yeah. I just was watching. There's a movie with Tom Hanks called Mazes and Monsters.
Yes. Ask me how many times I've seen it.
Oh yeah. It's like this guy's literally deranged. He's just like, yes, so sire, we must go on to an adventure. We got to go to school, man. He's like, we must do another adventure to slay the dragon. And they're like, wow, you've lost it, man.
That is such a bad movie, not just in the sense of it's a bad movie. It is Tom Hanks' first movie, but it is the psychology piece of the Satanic Panic, where they thought that people who played D&D would not be able to tell fiction from reality, like Tom Hanks' character.
Yeah, he's just stuck in it.
I remember them talking about that when I was in high school, and how it was so dangerous to play, and that this happened to someone. And did it ever actually happen?
No, none of it.
Okay, I honestly I'm telling you, it was so drilled into us that
there's some people that were actually
it.
a bit like Pizzagate. There's some people that were actually taken to court and their lives ruined because they had a babysitting service, and people were accusing them of being.
No, I know the Satanic Panic isn't real. I'm talking about people not being able to differentiate reality from D&D, and playing it for so long that they just never stop playing. Because that was what we were told why we should never play. And
if you can get a group that can actually get together on a regular basis for 20 years, that is.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, can we swear? I totally.
Oh yeah, no.
Good.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
That is fucking amazing. That is that's a miracle.
I know lots of people who play, and I know that some people get really into it. They dress up, they wear the figurines, but they're just playing a fucking game. They play for a few hours, and maybe they are into it so that they're planning their characters and doing all that shit. But
that's me.
It's a hobby. I don't have that kind of imagination, and kudos to anyone who does. But
Brent Lee's got these costumes, the leather thing and the ball gag.
Well, yeah,
I got a ball gag.
I tried to play D&D. I really did, and I would have kept on going, but there was issue. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Usually there's scheduling issues or there can be player issues.
Ex-boyfriend issues. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Right.
So I stopped. I would have continued.
I remembered my parents coming to me and having a serious talk with me as a kid, my teens, about avoiding satanic cults. And if you happen to be with your friends and they start to sacrifice goats and call us and we'll come to you. And I'm looking at them at the time. I'm looking at them and says, "Sacrifice goats, really?" I mean, come on. Right. I know the guys sometimes go around the fire camp over there and they'll smoke weed, but sacrifice goats?
Yeah. Tommy, come on, just cut the throat of the goat, dude. Everybody's doing it, bro.
I'm surprised it was a goat because I've done some watched things in the past, and usually it's a cow.
Oh,
so like a farmer will find a dead cow and they have this whole idea as to what's happened, and it's like, no, that's not what happened. It just died, and it's been a few days.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a cult. It's a chupacabra. Okay, now these things are real. Now they like
and let
they
me
suck
tell
all
you
the blood
what-
out.
So,
And
up here, of course, it's not a cow; it's a moose. But but then you
Right.
try to sacrifice.
But
a moose,
no, you're
you
not
give
allowed
up
to
on the whole
sacrifice the
satanic
moose here because we're gifted a moose every time a child is born. They get a moose. Remember?
That's right.
That's right.
It's funny some of the things you hear about Canadians. We've got to do that one day. We've got to do a Canadian versus U.S. quiz and see who can answer the most.
Well, we're kind of doing that with the candy show, which of course reminds me now I'm gonna have to send a whole bunch of candy to Hertzey now.
Yeah.
So we can do
and a T-shirt. Yeah, we'll do that at the same time.
I like candy.
It's Canadian candy too. It's stuff you just can't. Except Kinders, we will not ship those across the border because they will get confiscated.
We're planning on doing a
But
show. We've sent
I
it to Brent already and Benjamin.
Yeah.
We've received a
Well,
box of-
Benjamin better freaking lock this one up because his kids got into
last
the last one.
So we want to do a show, an
Yeah.
episode where you guys are tasting candy that's not available to you.
Yeah. We're just waiting for you guys to be nice enough to ship us.
Benjamin's
US
working on it, I
candy.
think.
yeah, we were getting an Amazon list together, and
There's
posting
two of us,
Amazon it.
I was gonna say, most of the U.S. candy, it's like Snickers or Twix.
We have
It's
that, we
not
have
really
that.
exciting.
But there's a lot of variations of Reese's peanut butter stuff. We
Yeah.
have peanut butter cups. We don't have like that 3-pounder that you guys got. We didn't get that. There's lots of that kind of stuff.
You say that because you just want Reese's peanut butter cup.
Well, no, really. I'm not totally.
This is how she broke my hand. I tried to get a peanut butter cup. She hammered me with a hammer.
Quite honest with you,
You
I
deserved it. Okay.
I Twix is actually one of my favorite chocolates.
Now, if you like the peanut butter, if you do like peanut butter cups, the peanut butter trees, pumpkins, and hearts are way better because there's a higher ratio of peanut butter.
See, and that we don't have that kind of stuff here. We have peanut butter cups. We have the bigger peanut butter cups, but that's pretty much it.
Okay.
You guys had ones that had Reese's Pieces in them. I we never had those. Like stuff like what else? There are some chocolate bars. Butterfinger. We don't get Butterfinger.
Okay.
Not regularly, anyway. Yeah,
So-
there's quite a few actually.
So about Reese's peanut butter cups, when exactly did you take on the identifier as atheist?
Yeah,
that's a segue.
Do it.
Thank you, Lee. I was heading that way.
It's an interesting family story too, because my whole family actually transitioned after a certain amount of time for each of us. And if you ask my mom and I who went first, we'll point to the other one.
It's her fault.
Cool, though.
Yeah, because it was about the same. She had been getting a bunch of skeptic magazines, and that was kind of her thing because she was just ignoring some of the religious stuff, and then it permeated. For me, it just was separation long enough to just be like, well, what is going on? And then she's like, Hertzey, would you watch this movie with me? Because I can't watch it with your dad. And I'm like, okay, sure. And it was like long list of atheists. I don't even remember who was on there. And it was like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. All right. Now what?
Were you like regular churchgoer before that?
Oh, yeah. When I was growing up, we went every week. And we did all sorts of stuff with the church. And then once I left home, I basically just never went again.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Fair enough. And now, as an atheist, and now a newest member of the Bottom of the Barrel show, Left the Valley, what would your advice be to the budding person in their apostasy out there? What piece of advice would you give them? Wow, that's really deep.
Definitely look up, see if your state, city, etc. has a community, because a lot of them do. I'm also part of Minnesota Atheists, and work with them, and they're awesome. So check out around, see if there's groups and stuff who do that, Meetup, Facebook, whatever, because a lot of that can really help with that transition from getting out of religion. Having that community, building those friends and relationships is really awesome.
Actually, that's a really good point. I was going to ask the question of, did you find that you felt a loss of community when you left the church because you were involved? And then, as far as I know, most churches kind of shun you when you say, I don't believe anymore. So, you're no longer part of them.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of was already fairly separated when I came to the conclusion and had some communities of other stuff. So it was like taking that step, and then I was like, oh, now what? Because if I wanted to join a church, it really wouldn't work. Yeah, we helped out with Sunday Assembly for a little while, and then moved over to the Minnesota Atheists.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, dear, and welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We expect great things from you down the road.
We'll see.
No,
Perfect. What's that?
I said, I think it's going to be fun.
I think so too.
Definitely.
Perfect. Okay, let's see. So we're going to do something a bit different right now. We're going to do a Baloney detection kit. Now, for people that don't know this, because I've had this in the back of my mind for quite a while. A lot of people are told, you got to think critically, but what does that look like, right? So I figured we'd do an exercise where I will tell you guys a story, an actual true story, something that happened to me. And I want you guys to basically tear it apart. Be skeptical about the story. And I think it will give a good example to all our audience out there as to what kind of questions to ask. Because, when you say to people, just be skeptical or just ask questions, what's that look like? We don't really know. So if you guys will indulge me with that, it sounds like a fun thing to do. Yes, no, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Do it.
It's not like I have a choice.
You can leave, Sabrina. You can just leave.
Good, I might have to have a bathroom break. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe not about the bathroom part.
It's gonna get wet real quick.
Okay. If you need a bathroom break, let's do it now.
I'm just teasing.
It's not just for you; it's for them too.
Yeah, I guess I should ask that question.
I could go if I needed to.
Do it now.
Okay.
That's what we pre-record these things.
Yeah, I can pause.
You guys,
That's what editing's
I have. She's not going. She's got a normal sized bladder. How come you guys have tiny little bladders?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah,
I went before the show.
You haven't gone to the bathroom for an hour? Well, wow, it was like, holy jeez, really? Apparently, you and I are the only two people to have normal sized bladders around here.
I don't know. My bladder makes me laugh because you can use this for the outtakes. Weird thing, I don't like using other people's bathrooms.
I agree. I'm the same way.
I don't know why, but it's like there are times where I can just like be fine, and then all of a sudden I get home and I'm like, I have to go now.
Yeah. I mean, usually when we do the show, the usual format, which we're not doing today, as usually we do our segments and then say, okay, let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back. And then we pause. Then he's camping in the bathroom. And then I can bring the guest in, because I tell the guest usually to show up 1 hour after we start recording. So,
oh, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the guest can come in and then we can tell him how it's going to go and then continue the recording. Of course, these two...
editing's easy. Shush.
was gonna say it will also depend on when the last time I went.
Yeah. I went right before the show started.
Well, what you think you would do? Well, normally that's what
I do. I went right before the show started, and then I drank almost a full coffee, and this is like my third coffee, so it starts to flow a little bit faster.
Yeah, the coffee for me too. Yeah, stuff just goes right through you.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. I've been recording all this time.
You know what? We need to find your other shirt so that you and I can pose in this and make it our profile picture.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's a great idea.
And then if we once that gets to them, if they can also send us pictures, I can make a great big mashup, and it can be the Left at the Valley profile picture.
Sure.
Yes.
Oh.
Make it look like we're all in the same room.
Yeah, I have friends that can do that, and maybe my sister. She's a graphic designer. I have a couple friends that are graphic designers.
All right, let's do this. So I'm gonna put some mood music here. And I'm going to tell you guys my story. And this is a real story. Something that happened to me where I had a Sasquatch encounter. Now, this happened to me several years ago. I was living in the little town of Mission. Now, Mission is a few hours, it's about 45 minutes away from here, due east and north of the Fraser River. Now, I was living north of Mission on essentially a tree farm. So you had to drive about 10 miles out of town to get to that little tree farm. A nice little cabin, log cabin and everything. It was nice. It was kind of cute, And I was working at a place in Vancouver, and I was doing a night shift. And this is one of those to set the mood. It was this perfect Stephen King night. The full moon, foggy cloud. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when I came back home. I had put a double shift, and I was very tired. I was driving home, and I was essentially seconds or minutes away from falling asleep at the wheel, literally. As I was driving down the street where I was turning into my parking lot, and then we're talking about 200 yards from my entrance, in the ditch, I drove by something. My brain took a couple of seconds to process something that I saw, something tall, something brown. And my brain seemed to think, it's like I saw the back of a head. And I saw the hair on the back of the head. And the hair looked coarse. And I only realized that after the 200 yards and I turned into my driveway. And my brain just caught up with me, and I said, what the hell did I just see there? Standing in the ditch. And I just drove right by, right? So I got out of the car, and like I said, it's a spooky, spooky night. It's a full moon. It's quiet, eerily quiet. Too quiet, in fact, because our neighbor next door had a kennel of dogs, and these dogs were always barking. So I was kind of taken aback as to, why are these dogs not barking? And then I heard this howl. I can't describe this howl. I can't compare it to any howl of any animal I know. To this day, I could not even describe the howl, but I know whenever I think about it, even to this day, I get kind of goosebumps. And I thought, I had this argument with myself thinking, do I walk 100 yards back onto the road and take a peek? Or do I just go into the house? I decided to just go into the house. This howl was very haunting and loud. So I went to the house, and as fire was, I had this fireplace that was heating the house, and the embers were dying. Everybody was asleep. And the cats, which are usually pretty active at 2 o'clock in the morning because they're cats, were actually both huddled under the couch together and were just staring at me. Say, okay, this is just weird. So I went to the second floor into the bedroom and looked outside the window, see if I could peek anything. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. And eventually I went to sleep. The next day when I woke up, I went back there and tried to find some evidence of something I could have seen, tracks or anything. I didn't find anything. Funny enough, though, I encountered a guy by the name of Thomas, who was down the road, who's actually a Sasquatch researcher. And I told him my story. And I basically he recorded everything. He took pictures and recorded everything, and he recorded the what was going on in the time of the event and all that. And he's got everything documented. And funny enough, the entrance by where I had supposedly seen the creature, the entrance which one of our neighbors, right on his entrance on the archway, it actually says Bigfoot for some reason. So that was kind of an interesting coincidence. Never saw anything again, and to this day, I almost get goosebumps whenever I think of that story. All right, that's the story in a nutshell. Now, you guys, what do you think of this story?
It's totally true. It's obviously true. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
Bigfoot. And...
It's so obvious you saw a Sasquatch. I mean, they are movie after all. They're very popular here.
I mean, you got an expert in on it and everything. I mean, you did your due diligence there, sir.
Oh wait, you actually want us to like?
Yes. This is for the audience.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't help but
just think of me as a believer for a second there, and how would you go ahead and take this down?
My first question is, how many hours were you awake by this point? Because you said you had a double shift.
A very good question. I actually had been awake for quite some time. So I'd been awake for, probably close to 24 hours.
Wow. So it's clearly sleep paralysis. So.
Well, paralysis usually comes with not being able to move.
Okay, and the road is lit or not lit?
The road was not lit.
Were your high beams on?
Yes.
What was the amount of time that you saw this thing? Like you said that your brain kind of caught back up. So what was the actual amount of did you see it for a second?
So I'm driving at about 50 kilometers an hour.
So you're driving speed limit.
That doesn't make any sense.
Miles per hour is, what's 50 kilometers?
30 miles an hour or something like that.
25, 30 miles an hour. Down a normal street there. As you drive normal speed.
Paved or not paved?
Paved.
Okay.
And as I'm driving down and I'm literally kind of falling asleep and waking up and falling asleep, as I'm passing, imagine you're standing on the side of the road and I passed you. This is the time that I saw something.
Yeah.
Or someone.
And it's like, is there a house or anything lit behind? Are you passing? What kind of spacing? I've been down this road, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it's down the street, and of course there are a few entrances.
I remember when we drove down, it was very wooded.
It's a very wooded area.
And that the houses were kind of set back from the road.
Yes.
I'm trying to set the scene here of what could or couldn't be seen. So there would have been very little light aside from your headlights, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
Because it kind of reminds me of, I remember doing group therapy, and one of the things that we had to do is they would lift up this picture, and then put it. It was for a half a second, I think they would put it up and put it right down, and then had ask everybody around the circle what we saw. Nobody got it right. Out of 20 people, nobody got it right. So I'm just saying.
Is it possible? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sabrina.
No, doesn't matter. Go ahead. I've been talking a lot. It's your turn.
Was there a lot of wildlife around there, like deer and such?
Yes, it's a heavily wooded area, and like I said, it's way out of town. So
are moose common up there?
Not moose, but you'll see deer, you'll see bears on a regular basis, black bears.
So my thought would be a deer butt would be my first instinct.
But you're saying large, right? Deer here aren't that large, unless it was rearing, maybe. Oh, coughing.
Excuse me. Deer would have been possible with the color, but deer fur is usually fine. My brain got the distinct expression this was coarse hair, like horse hair.
Okay.
The horse, very coarse hair, and it was also fairly tall. So unless the deer was actually standing up, could be
on its hind legs.
Yeah.
But usually in the area, you'll see a lot of black bears. You won't see a lot of brown bears.
But black bears can be brown.
That's true as well.
I have seen brown black bears, and you think they kind of look like grizzly, but they're too small and their snouts aren't the same shape.
The difficulty.
Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Oh, sorry. The difficulty with this is being able in the first place to be able to rule things out, right? Because we have a split second worth of time. So generally, what you would want to do is take the more likely scenarios and then rule them out one by one until you get to, of course, Bigfoot, which is the most unlikely scenario.
No, the most plausible. That's what we're totally joking here, people.
But yeah, so it makes it difficult to even be able to rule things out if we're only dealing with like a couple of seconds, and there wasn't really any investigation further until a few minutes later, or the next morning.
Wait, let's talk, you said something about a roar.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Talk about that for a second, because deer don't roar.
Yes.
No.
So that would rule out a deer.
Mm-hmm.
But bear make a lot of noise.
Yeah, they growl, they roar, but this was more of a howl.
Like coyotes.
That's possible.
Have you heard coyotes when they have a kill?
I've heard, I've heard coyotes before. This did not sound like a coyote, but I'm no expert on the range of sounds a coyote can make. So
pick an animal that it sounds similar to give us an idea of the sound that you heard. You know what I mean?
T-Rex.
Right? Have you heard of cat and heat?
Yes. It was a mixture between. The first thing that went to my mind when I first heard the howl was it was almost werewolf-like.
Could have been a wolf. I was gonna say, and here's one thing: the howl and the thing you saw don't have to be connected.
Exactly.
Those could be two different, completely different instances.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
An excellent point.
And that your brain just makes that connection.
Yeah.
And or what you saw could have just been a shadow, and then you heard the howl and tried to connect it to something, and then your brain went, wait a minute, what about that thing I saw that I wasn't sure what it was?
Right. Oh yeah, working backwards. Yeah. Do that.
You guys think there might also be a connection with the fact that on the archway of the property
it said Bigfoot.
It said Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Did my brain just read the word and conjure up a Bigfoot?
Mm-hmm.
Could be. Did have you looked up on YouTube what people that have caught the Bigfoot howls on record? Have you done that?
I think I have. I'm not sure. I'd probably have to look it up again.
What? Because then you could see if it's similar. Although every time I hear those, it just sounds like people making noises. But I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I would say if it sounds like a werewolf, then it probably was like maybe a wolf or a timber wolf.
Yeah, we have wolves up here.
It'd be awful close to town for a wolf.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
but
quite far.
Not impossible. Coyotes for sure.
But it could be a dog that has some wolf in it, which is not. Considering you said that those people had a kennel, maybe they had wolf crosses.
Maybe.
That would be so cute.
These dogs, my uncle had
these
one.
dogs were loud most of the time, if not all the time. How do you explain they were very, very quiet?
It's two in the.
They were scared of the one dog that was howling.
Maybe it's or maybe because it's also 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
could be asleep.
Yeah.
I mean,
have
just
you ever come home at 2 a.m. and not like you know what I mean? Was
I
that common
have,
for you
but
to
I
come
don't
home
think
that late?
I have, but I don't think I've ever noticed.
But doesn't that almost work against the conclusion that there was a Bigfoot? Wouldn't dogs be barking at the thing? Like if the dogs were barking a whole lot, wouldn't you say, oh, they must have been barking at the Bigfoot if that had been the case? So
Normally I would say yes. But if we were thinking how humans think, they were probably thinking that dogs were terrified and just being quiet.
Okay.
But that's more of a setup of a horror movie than maybe.
Yeah, when I think about that, though, I mean, if my dog smelled something that he wasn't sure of, he would absolutely be making noise.
That's what I was thinking.
Especially at night. He's a very protective dog at night.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like the sounds that the dogs make are completely irrelevant to how you would, to this situation. Because if they were barking, you would say that they were barking because of the Bigfoot, and then they're not barking, and so that's a result of the Bigfoot as well. So, you know what I'm saying?
the sound or the lack of is really kind of irrelevant at that point. But it could be the sound that you heard came from there. I mean, dogs could sound wolf-like too, as well.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all true. It's all very true.
So
you guys are taking this down pretty good so far.
I'm gonna jump from the dogs to the cats because I actually was reading a thing about cats recently that was talking about how cats do keep track of where their owners are and like where your voice is. And you can kind of see it sometimes when their ears will turn, but they're not mad. It's because they're keeping track of where you are and how you feel. If you came home and you were already kind of spooked out about this thing, the cats very possibly caught that, and so they're hiding. You probably slammed the door harder or something, and so they're just like,
"Huh?
What the heck's going on here? I'm gonna hide. This guy's doing something weird."
Well, that's a very good explanation for where the cats were like
Absolutely,
that.
a cat person. Because that was kind of my first thought too with the cat, that the cats were feeding off of how you were feeling.
Yep. Because it could be in the middle of Zoomies. If I come home and I'm not happy, the cats are like,
"Huh?
We're gonna go away."
Leave you alone.
And I have a cat that knows, like, if I start talking about something that's emotional to me, that maybe brings up a feeling of anxiety, she immediately knows. I've had this cat since she was 7 weeks old, and she will absolutely crawl right up to my face. And if I get really upset, she will meow very loudly to go, "Wait a minute, just pay attention to me. I'm right here, pet me." And it's one of the only times I hear her purr. She purrs all the time, but you can only feel it. But I can hear it when I'm super upset. Anyway, cats are awesome. That's the moral of that story. Cats
I think we determined a lot already on this story. The fact that Kevin was very, very tired. The brain can play tricks on you. Eyewitnesses are not super reliable.
No, not at all.
I saw something that had at best a vague description of something brown that seemed to be standing with coarse hair.
Which easily could have just been a shadow.
Maybe.
You're tired.
And maybe the fact that the neighbor's sign had a Bigfoot could have been some kind of suggestion on my brain.
And also the researcher too, which we kind of dismissed right away. But the fact that...
But the researcher came much later.
How much later?
Oh, wow. A couple of days.
I would say actually that's still in whatever play, because the brain and memory is incredibly valuable. And so the idea that he's probably trying to make sure he can actually come to the conclusion he wants to. So he might ask leading questions, lead your brain into thinking you saw a standing thing when actually it was just a weird bark pattern on a tree.
Yeah, like it could be that your memory is now conflated because of what he has told you.
Absolutely. That's always possible. Yeah. The fact that I pulled in and didn't hear a sound because didn't hear the dogs. Well, it was 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, and
maybe they're sleeping.
And you're now connecting that with something different now.
I'm connected with the horror movie pattern of something's going to jump because everything's really quiet all of a sudden, right? The howl, we can't really explain at this point, but it could be some unknown coyote sound that I don't know of. It could very well be that.
Most likely animal in the area, by the way. That's why I say it.
Yeah.
Or a bear or something like that. The cats, we already explained that maybe the cats just fed off me. You know, the fact that I climbed upstairs, looked out the window, couldn't see anything, couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, again, 2:00 in the morning.
2:00 in the morning.
In a very quiet street where it's not very populated, which is something that we really should have mentioned. That this is, we're in the boonies. So you're talking maybe 1 acre, 2 acre properties, probably, maybe even 5 acre properties. Like, so maybe 3 or 5 houses on the street, So let's set that scene too, right?
You're not packed like sardines like I am.
No.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Here now, we're in the suburbs now, so you got neighbors. Anyway.
So, interesting note. The researcher, his name was Thomas, and he's actually a very genuine fellow. I actually interviewed him on this show years ago. Thomas, the Sasquatch Hunter, and we actually spoke about it. And he's not actually a crank. You would think he is right off the bat, but no, he actually believes that maybe the most logical explanation would be a lost species of Gigantopithecus.
Of what?
Of ancient ape
Okay.
There was a really giant ape, whatever.
Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to.
Gigantopithecus.
It's something I've never heard. Anyways,
So that's his theory, and I even asked him at the show during the show, if it was proven to you that Gigantopithecus isn't responsible for this, would you be willing to accept that? Maybe this is all bogus. And he said yes. So he was actually an incredibly reasonable guy for a Sasquatch hunter and believer. So interesting enough. Now, what you guys don't know,
that's a pretty low bar, but okay. But you
what you guys don't know is Thomas did some more research into that, and turns out that he came back with some information a couple of years later on my case.
Okay.
My case. It turns out that the place where I kind of saw, and where there's that Bigfoot sign and everything, apparently they do hunting games.
Okay.
Hunting games where somebody will dress up as prey.
Okay.
So maybe that's what I saw too.
And they shoot the person?
Well, no, they don't.
That doesn't seem ethical.
Maybe they shoot with a Nerf gun.
Yeah,
or
like
paintball.
paintball.
Or
Yeah.
somebody wearing.
Okay.
As a person who's done live action role playing or LARPs, that's a level of geekiness that is wow.
But at 2:00 in the morning, would they actually do it that late at night? That seems a little bit of a stretch, but maybe not impossible.
But it could have easily been somebody with a ghillie suit. If you're familiar with a ghillie suit,
No.
it's one of those suits. You look like moss almost. You look like a pile of moss.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
The rainbow blanket.
Yeah.
Again, at 2 in the morning would be a little weird, but
would be
not
a little weird.
necessarily impossible in total geek world. Like, I do understand that there are some hardcore people out there, especially around here.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, that is
Interesting.
where this case stands at this point. So if I was to ask you, did Kevin actually see Bigfoot or
No.
Sasquatch?
I'm sorry, hun, but
No, probably not.
Yes. Wait, I feel like you guys. No.
They could be role playing that they're catching the Sasquatch, though. That would be interesting.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe.
Oh,
he
yeah.
was up like
Or the guy
Sasquatch.
maybe he was dressed up as a bear or
Mhm.
anything, something like that, right? And he just happened to be standing in the ditch near the entrance as I drove by.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right?
it. I think most of the sightings are just crazy mountain men.
It could absolutely be, especially around here. Like I said, it's not impossible, especially not in Mission.
There we go. So thank you for analyzing that, guys. That was pretty good. Hopefully we helped our listeners get an idea at least of what it's supposed to be like when you're asking these kind of questions. And I'm happy you guys call me just an idiot right off the bat.
I would never, though. That's the thing. I don't think people are idiots. I think that they have interesting memory patterns, and I'm not even trying to change their mind. I'm just trying to understand what it is that they're truly remembering. I'll let them keep their own opinion. I really couldn't care less what they think. Like, it's about what I think that matters to me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And if my what I think doesn't align with theirs, I again would never say, "Oh yeah, you're a dumbass." I'll just walk away thinking you're a dumbass. I'm not supposed to say it out loud. That's okay.
Do you guys have any stories like that in your life that could be kind of like, well, maybe not a Bigfoot story, but something that could, at first you thought, wow, I totally saw a ghost or something like that. And on second analysis, you realize, no, I was probably just drunk or something.
I actually have.
Go for it. Tell it.
So this is when I was a kid. I was probably 10-ish years old. My mom did childcare, but we lived around. There were like 5 or 6 people who did childcare within very short distance, and we all would converge at this park that was a couple blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
All that's relatively important. So there's a park with a whole bunch of kids. We're all running around. Like I said, I was probably about 10-ish, and I distinctly remember that this person I know who does not go to any of these childcare places or anything goes, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" and then ran away. I searched the entire playground. I asked my mom. I was like, I thought I saw this kid here, and she's like, "He's not here. What the heck are you talking about?" Not a clue. But I swear he came up, said something, and ran away.
I can see kids do that too.
Yeah.
If I was a ghost kid, that's exactly what I'd be doing like all day.
I remember my brother. I remember my brother darting across traffic on a busy, like 2-lane each way, and he's darting across traffic. I'm thinking, what are you doing? And he's running like it's an emergency just to get to the other side, tap his buddy on the shoulder and say hi, and just walk away.
Oh my god. That's freaking hilarious.
You didn't see me waving there, so I.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Exactly that, right?
Maybe I'd have to think about it.
I remember one time when I was on a campground when I was about 16. I remember seeing somebody that moved weird. It was close to like at dusk, and it just if you had like a mannequin on roller skates and you just moved it, there was like no swaying of the walking of the, and it just moved like that and went around the corner to the point that I chased that person, and of course when I came around the corner, nobody's there. And I was thinking for the longest time as a kid, I'm thinking, did I just see some kind of ghost?
Floating man.
It wasn't, like I said, there was no motion of legs or arms. It was just like something.
Hover man.
Hover, yeah, there we go.
I had a desperation to believe in like ghosts in the afterlife as a teenager.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people like would, we'd Ouija board, and we, of course, I'm sure everybody pushed it around. So there was those. And then I had a friend who used to pretend that she was possessed. I kind of knew she was faking it, but other people were buying it, or at least they were pretending to. That was, but I mean, that's high school.
Yeah.
I love the way you say it. It's like boogie boarding. We like we were Ouija boarding. And
We actually, a lot of us
That's
didn't
great.
actually even have a Ouija board. A friend of mine had a table that was glass, and so we used to draw the Ouija board on it, and then we could just like erase it,
I see.
with a whiteboard marker or something. I don't quite remember. I mean, anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
I wish I was more technically capable, because I always wanted to put a Ouija board with a magnet underneath it on some kind of little remote control device. I could move the magnet and move the board by itself without nobody touching it. I always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Oh man. For the longest time, I thought, because we had a Ouija board that we used a long time ago, and it was and I remember we like threw it out. I got scared and I ripped it up and I threw it out. And my friends, they had access to, because we would like my room was right next to the garage, and you could basically just walk into the garage and go into the room that was right there.
Mhm.
And and so my friends, like, when I wasn't looking, before I got up, they went and put the Ouija board in my room, so I would see it right when I woke up, all taped together. I swore for years. I just found this out like 5 years ago that they did that on purpose.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's like I read a post like that. I think I sent it on Apologetics. The guy who was reading The Exorcist.
The book, yeah, and he threw it in the water.
He threw it in the Chesapeake River, and then he just bought another copy, just soaked it in water, put it in his dresser.
Yes.
We talked about the Ouija board. Was that on LATV or on Apologetics?
It was on Apologetics.
I think it was on
Yeah.
Apologetics. It's so hard when we do so dang many shows together, you guys.
I know, right?
Not that I mind.
I
plugged
think it was
actually recently on a blog or on a group that has quite a few members.
right, but it was the fact that they all knew I was super gullible, and I believed all this weird, wacky stuff. That they didn't.
Me
believe.
too. I'm sure that a lot of people did it and laughed about it behind my back, but it was all good. I don't care.
I think it was Einstein himself who said the most beautiful sensation is that of mystery. And it's true. We love mystery. We love the unknown, and we love the possibility they can bring to us, and we love to make up something about it.
Yeah.
It's like that Unsolved Mystery show. I always thought that it just ended kind of crummy.
Scared the shit out of me.
They're like, yeah, and we still don't know anything about this. And you're like, what a letdown. I thought the end would be like figuring it out.
Well, then it would be mystery.
Every documentary out there like that is like Finding Nessie, and it always ends up with, well,
we don't know.
We might have seen a fin.
Have you guys heard of Ogopogo?
Yeah, that's
that big long one. The
it's like the Canadian version of the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, they call it
Ogopogo. It's it's like a sea
name.
serpent, but it's not a sea serpent
I think
because
every
it's in a
country's
lake.
got one of those. Every country's got one of those.
Yeah, there's a few states that have them.
I think the one in the U.S. is called Mike Pence.
Well, I think there's one in Lake Erie, And I'm pretty sure there's one in one of the Minnesota lakes, because Minnesota has a ton of lakes. We have more waterfront property than I think California and potentially Florida, because we have that many lakes.
You know, we have a lot of lakes in BC too, but I don't think there's very many cabins around them.
Actually, there's more lakes in Canada than all the other countries in the world combined.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Where's the land of 1,000 lakes? Where's that?
10,000 lakes.
10,000. Thank you. That's
Yeah, I
it.
was gonna
Okay,
say
all
that's
right.
in
I was like,
Florida.
I think
That's actually, it's kind of a humble brag because it's actually more like 14, 15, depending on what you count as a lake.
We're counting this puddle right here too. Okay, that counts.
That's really cool.
Nice even number here.
That's cool.
Oh yeah,
you're like not too far. I'm like picturing Minnesota, and I'm like, okay, well, I could drive there. I can't really drive to Brentleys, but you're kind of just down the street.
Exactly.
You really are. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, guys, for this, and thank you to my co-hosts Sabrina, Hertzey, and Brent Lee, and thank you for listening. And what do I do?
At this point, we say, well, we've got this great YouTube channel. It's called youtube.com/LAT or Left at the Valley. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're also on Facebook.com Facebook.com/Left at the Valley. Twitter at
LATV podcast.
Yeah.
And while you're there, why don't you model the T-shirt you got?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yes.
look at that.
This
Hey,
is
look at that.
our new shirt. And
we're going to give those to our patrons as well.
There we go. Here, let me stand up a little bit. There we go.
There we go.
So what we're doing is all our patrons, existing and new, will get one of these T-shirts. Not at the lowest level, I don't think, but maybe
Depending
we'll
how generous
talk
we feel.
about this. Yeah, because the lowest level's only $1 a month, so or $1 an episode. That's like $4 a month.
Yeah, exactly. So, support our efforts, support our show. It really helps. You can find us at Left. You said all that.
I
Send
did.
us an
Oh
email
wait, email. We forgot about email.
leftatValley@outlook.com.
If you write in, we will read it.
Talk about Instagram either. We're on Instagram too. I don't know how to
Sure.
find us, but search there. I don't use it, but we post, so you never know.
Okay.
Sometimes.
And give us a 5-star review where you find us. It helps us and helps others find the show. Brett, give us a quick plug for Unapologetic.
Look up on YouTube the Unapologetic Spell with an X panel stream.
Mhm.
We pretty much just hang out. We watch clips and just kind of do it's just a free for all. Really, it's just fun time.
All right.
Wait, we forgot to say leftatthevalley.ca.
That's right. Leftatthevalley.ca. Don't go to .com.
Don't go to .com. We're working on that. I think we should talk about this.
All right. Next week, we'll be talking to Spencer Cruz and we talk about marine biology.
That's the sun.
Nice.
That's right. We'll be also talking to Dr. Clint Heacock about Christian
Oh, I
dominionism.
like him too. We're having fun this year.
And around the end of December, mid-December, around December, we're talking to Tom and Cecil of Cognitive Dissonance. That should be fun.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be a fun year.
And we'll also be talking in January. We'll be talking to Dr. Edwin Hodge, which we had some technical difficulties. I would be talking to him about what they call these natural persons.
Oh yes, personhood.
Yes, natural personhood. These
The
independent
people
civilians. All that
we'll
kind of
talk
stuff.
all about it. I don't. Is it just a Canadian thing or is that worldwide?
No, it's worldwide.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll talk about it. It's
All right,
fun.
Perfect. Anything else you need to add?
Have a good week.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Respect them,